Welcome to Hilary Emmanuel Ministries, where faith meets power, purity and prosperity, and breakthroughs are born. At Diadem, we equip you with bold prayers, life-transforming teachings, and spiritual strategies to overcome every challenge life throws your way. Join us as we dive into God's Word, experience His presence like never before, and walk in His purpose for our lives. If you're in London, we invite you to fellowship with us in person at Diadem, 4 Pegamoid Road, N18 2NG. Don't forget to subscribe now and let's grow in faith together.
We thank the Lord for all He has been doing for us since He brought us into this new year. And like I told you that all the Sundays in January, we are going to use it to prepare for our covenant service. And from the first Sunday, we've looked at fresh revival for a fresh beginning. And we also went on to look at the holy flames in the hearts of the covenanters. And last Sunday, we looked at the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover. And we are going into a covenant of the Lord's Passover. But what is it? What are we going to get from it? One of the mic is on. So what is in the covenant for us? What are we going to benefit from the Lord's covenant of Passover? After the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, what are the benefits that the covenanters stand to receive? There was nothing like Passover anywhere in existence till Jehovah God Himself introduced it. Till Jehovah God called Moses and told him, I want to do Passover. So it is the invention of God Himself. It came from heaven. And He took the time to explain to Moses the benefits, what Israel is going to benefit from it, what those who participate are going to enjoy from it. And He explained everything unto them, and He now established it an annual ordinance forever, that they should make sure they do this every year, all the days of their life, as long as they remain on earth. So, as the Father has said that this year is our own Passover in Diadem, and He has come down to make a covenant of Passover with us, let's see what we are going to benefit from the covenant. And that's why we are talking about the benefits of the Lord's Passover. That's what we are talking about. Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12. Look at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, so you can see that from this point, the Passover brings God closer to His people. Makes God to appear to His people. Makes God to come closer to His people and speak to them. That's the first thing. The Passover of God draws God closer to His people. That's the first benefit you are going to enjoy. And the closeness becomes so close and so intimate, more than they have ever been before. All these years, for 430 years they have been in Egypt, God has never appeared to them and say, do Passover for me, or kill goat, or kill this one, do this one. No. Or give me sacrifice. This is the first time God is appearing closely and is saying, do this now. Verse 2. He went further and told them, He said, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Do you see what Passover does? Passover is the beginning of new things. The beginning of new things. The Passover brings a brand new page, a brand new chapter, a brand new calendar, a brand new beginning. It resets the date of everything in one's life. It resets the date. You can imagine somebody just coming up to you and maybe in March or April or any month and say, your year starts today. This is January 1 for you. And so, which means every other thing will be reset. Every other thing will start afresh. Everything will begin anew. So that's what Passover does. It's the beginning of new things. I'm telling you this so that when you are filling your covenant form, you know what you are going to begin to put there. You know how you are going to be connecting your prayer point directly to the benefits of the Passover. You know how you are going to begin to tell God in your prayers, Lord, reset my life. Reset the clock and the calendar of my life. Let everything begin afresh. Give me a brand new beginning. That's what God... Listen, Moses didn't initiate this. This was God's doing by himself. He said, I'm going to reset everything. Everything will start afresh in your life from today. Now let's go on. Verse 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their father, a lamb for an house. And if the house be too little for a lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it till the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Brethren, the Passover is a time of special and uncommon sacrifice unto God. God has never demanded this sacrifice from Israel before. And he made it very clear. He said it has to be a lamb or a goat, and it has to be 1 year old, under 1 year old. Because everything is starting afresh again. And the reason is for this sacrifice to open the door. To open the door for Jehovah God to step in and do the uncommon things. And do what he has never done before. And do what has never been done anywhere on earth before. That's the reason. And look at what follows. Verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door post of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with spotless thereof. Verse 10. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. Do you see the specific manner? Why is it? He said they must do it in haste. They must eat it in haste. Because God is in haste to do some things. The whole process is like prophetic action. And as they carry out that prophetic action, that's how God is also going to execute it. Look at verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. What did the Egyptians do? Egyptians have made themselves enemies of the people of God. They have oppressed and afflicted the people of God. And the people of God were completely helpless. They couldn't fight the Egyptians. They couldn't rescue themselves. They couldn't save themselves. And Jehovah God said, I'm stepping in. Brethren, do you know? Many of the children of God, including us here, we have enemies that we cannot fight against. We have enemies that are stronger than us. We have enemies that we are helpless under their power and control. And it's only the intervention of Jehovah God that can set us free. And so God said, I am coming in. And the only thing that could make him to come in is the Passover. So when he comes in, he said he will execute judgment on the Egyptians themselves and on their gods, their idols. Sometimes our enemies have deities and powers behind them that we are not a match. We can't fight them. We can't. Because they receive heavy sacrifices. And we don't have much sacrifice anywhere. Look at verse 13. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. Now what does that mean? The Passover provides a shield of separation for the people of God from general calamities that are ravaging the land. The Passover provides a security, a protection, a shield round about the people of God. And do you know that if any Egyptian got this information that night and just killed any goat and used the blood also, that Egyptian will be free. So that is the power of the Passover. And you can see what is happening on earth now. We need this Passover. I don't know why the Lord chose now to do this. We need this Passover so desperately. Those of us who are on social media, you can see what is bustling there. You can see what is bustling on social media, especially TikTok. How the youths are fretting because they say they want to carry them into the army. You can see how the youths are panicking already because they say they want to force them into the army. So the only thing, the issue is this. It's not joining the army that is the problem. I was listening to one man. He said that, which youth? Which youth? He said, do you have 20 years old at home? Do you have any of them at home? Do you know what it takes to wake them up in the morning to go to school? Or to go to work? He said you want to put them in the army. The problem is, this is not going to be a weapon or a war of soldiers. Whether you have 1 million soldiers, if they fire atomic weapon, all of them will be roasted instantly. So we need protection now than ever. We need protection now. Do you remember one revelation the Lord gave us sometimes? I think it was last year, or when these things were boiling like this 2 years ago, where there was such a trouble, and the angel of God came and gathered them together and hid us somewhere. So that is what the Passover does. It provides a special protection when there is a general calamity in the land. It provides a special security for the people of God. Look at verse 14. See, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. He said, make sure you do this every year. Make sure you practice this every year. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Verse 28. Verse 28. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord has commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. Now, assuming they disobeyed, and said, what as we are telling you that we are suffering, we are telling you we are dying, the Egyptians are killing us, you are telling us to go and kill goat. Assuming they disobeyed, what will have happened that night? It will have been for their destruction. So, you now see that it is a time God does what man cannot understand. Verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight, the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, or to the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. Of course, these are the ones they see physically. They will not see the gods and the deities that God is smiting also. Verse 30. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt. That is what you benefit from Passover. That God will stretch out his hand and smite your enemies, that they will cry out. They will cry out. Even the one that thought he was a strong man before, they will cry too. That's what Passover does. These are the benefits of Passover. So you can see from Pharaoh's house, everybody to the last slave, they cried out. For there was not a house where there was not one dead. Verse 31. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night. He didn't even allow day to break. Didn't allow day to break. You know, sometimes when things happen in the night, we say in the morning we will do it. This one, you can't wait in the morning. This is the benefit of Passover, brethren. All the enemies that have been stronger than you, that have been oppressing you, they will be in a hurry to release you. Do you know that when God told Abraham about his children going to Egypt, he told Abraham 400 years. When these things were happening, it was already 430 years. How did 30 years come on top? Moses spent 30 years going to and fro with Pharaoh. Go to Pharaoh today, don't come to me again, go away. All those things. They were dragging like this for 30 years. There are enemies you will fight for 30 years you have not prevailed. So how did that struggle, that up and down, how did it end? Passover ended it. You know, before, Pharaoh will say, you can't see me again, don't come to my palace again. And all those things, that's fine. After again, he will send for them to come. This time around, he said that night, he didn't allow the day to break. That's what Passover does. He called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both you and your children, and go and serve the Lord, as you have said. Now, you know, before, he will tell them, you can go and serve God, but leave your children here. Go and serve God, leave your animal here. All those things. Now, he said in verse 2, also, take your flock, take your head, take everything and go. It's only Passover that can do such a thing. When you deal with stubborn enemies that take destinies captive, that take destinies as slaves and use them until that destiny will die. And they have used destiny for over 400 years. And nobody can rescue from their hand. It's only Passover that can set you free. And can you imagine? He said, bless me also. For your enemies to be begging you to pray for them. He said, bless me also. Verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men. He said, you people just go. Verse 35. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. So Moses said, go to all the whole Egyptians and collect everything they have. Tell them to borrow you their gold and silver and everything, their money. They went and collected everything from them. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians. This is what Passover only can do. Do you know for 430 years they were working, no salary. They never paid them anything. If you read the book of Joshua, you will see it there. When they increased their task, how much block they should mold, they should create in a day. If you didn't meet that target, they used their firstborn to do the block. They used their children to mold the block, to put on the fence and use it to mold. That's what they were doing to them. No salary. It's only Passover that can deliver from such cruel enemy. So the Bible said they spoiled the Egyptians. Verse 40. Now, the sojourning of the children of Israel who went in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day, it came to pass that all the host of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. That's only what Passover can do. To bring you out of long-time captivity, long-time slavery, long-time bondage. It's only Passover that can liberate you. Verse 42. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. In case you did not understand what they were going through before now, when we say bring them out, deliver them, rescue them, we might not rescue them from what? Let's see the snippet of what the Bible gave us insight into. Before the Passover, see the practice, the norms. Just like a lot of people have what you call the status quo of what their life is now used to. That shouldn't be in our life. But now we have adjusted and we are used to it now. It has become part of us. And the enemies are the one that put it there. Look at how it used to be. Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1. Look at verse 13. It says, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel. Anywhere you see the children of Israel, put your name there because you are a child of God. You are a child of Jehovah God. So the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor is not to go to work and come back home. That one, if you go, you are not coming back. There's nothing like I've fulfilled my duty. I did 8 hours. I'm tired. My waist is... No 8 hours. If you start, you don't come home, you don't eat, you don't do anywhere, you continue. And with somebody beating you. That's what you call serving with rigor. Look at verse 14. And they made their lives bitter. With what? You know, if you go to work, you can't say your life is bitter because you collect salary at the end of the day, isn't it? They say they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. With hard bondage. In mortar and in brick. And in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them to serve was with rigor. If they want to make you to fetch water, they must make sure that fetch water is with rigor. You don't just go and fetch ordinary water. No, it doesn't work that way. It must be with bitter pain. And that's how they did it. They will give birth to a child. The child will do it until we grow to maybe 50 years and die, 60 years and die. And then his own child will continue from there for 430 years. For 430 years. It's only Passover that can bring people out of such captivity. It's only Passover. Chapter 2. Exodus chapter. Look at verse 23. And it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by the reason of bondage. Do you know what it means to sigh? When you sit down like this, you look at your life, you just... When they begin now to have that kind of... Because it's a condition of hopelessness. You can't run away. There's nobody, no court to go to. Nobody to speak for you. Nobody to rescue you. Nothing you can do. You feel that this should be a dream. You wake up and it's not a dream, it's real. And they cried. Of course, that one is very common. They cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. Do you imagine the kind of cry human beings will cry on earth? And the thing will enter the heart of God because of pain. They cried. Brethren, it's only Passover that can rescue from this kind of condition. Look at verse 24. And God heard their groaning. For somebody to be living the life of groaning. Life of groaning. And God remembered his covenant with Abraham. Do you see what Passover can do? It's what will make God to remember his promises. Make God to remember his covenants. Make God to rise up to fight. It's Passover. He remembered his covenant with Isaac and with Jacob. Verse 25. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. It's only Passover that will make God to begin to look at you and begin to respect you. Exodus chapter 6, I'm showing you now. These are the things why the Lord wants to make the covenant of Passover with us. Exodus chapter 6, look at verse 1. Then the Lord said unto Moses, now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh. Why? Because of Passover. Because of Passover. Brethren, it's when you have a Passover covenant with Jehovah God, that's when you will see what God will do to your enemies. He said, you will see what I'm going to do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. Verse 5. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and have remembered my covenant. Things that will force God to remember his covenant and act. This is his Passover. Verse 6. Wherefore, say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with a great judgment. God can only do this because there's a legal ground for him to do it. And that legal ground is the covenant of Passover. For him to stretch it and snatch you, rid you, rip you, snatch you by force from the hands of your enemy. Say, I will snatch you. Verse 7. And I will take you to me for a people. Do you see what is happening here? He said, something is going to change. Why were the Egyptians holding on unto them? Because they saw them as personal possession. They saw them as their slaves. They saw them as their properties. And they were not willing to let them go. And Jehovah God said, I will have to fight. I will have to break the hands of the Egyptians. I will snatch you from their hand. And then I will take you to be my own people, my personal property also. You will become my own. And I will be to you a God. He said, I will become a God to you. And ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burden of the Egyptians. Do you see what Passover does, brethren? Let's tell ourselves the truth. There are some foundations. The only thing is that we don't have much detail about our foundations. There are some foundations. They don't forbid you from going to church. You can still be going to your church. But they have full, if you like, you say copyright ownership over you. They have full right over you. You still belong to them 100%. So such foundation will never allow anybody to go to heaven. And for you now to become a child of God, a candidate of heaven, Passover must happen. Jehovah God must repeat what he did here for the children of Israel. He must repeat it in your own life too. To snatch you from that foundation and bring you to himself and make you his own personal person and become your God. That is, there's going to be a transition. There's going to be a switch of side. You have to switch from one camp to the other camp. Look at verse 8. And I will bring you in unto the land concerning the which I did swear to give to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for an heritage. I am the Lord. So now, Passover will make God to begin to perform his promises, long-time promises. Verse 9, and Moses spake so unto the children of Israel. He came and told them all these things. That look at the benefit, look at what we are going to enjoy from Passover. He told them all the whole benefits. And what did they do? Are we there? And they hearkened not. They didn't even listen. They didn't even understand. Because what Moses was saying was impossible. It was totally impossible. Moses had no army. Moses had no weapon, only rod. One rod is carrying up and down. And so how is he going to do it? And where is he going to come from? Because it has never happened anywhere before on earth. And they didn't know Jehovah God yet to that level. And that's why you see every statement God made to Moses, he will put at the end, I am the Lord. I am the Lord. I am the Lord. Why was he repeating that? That is, I have the power as God to do it. So God was emphasizing, I am the Lord. And Moses prayed to them, but they could not receive it. They didn't believe it. Why? For anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. Because of the nature of their bondage, they couldn't believe it. So, brethren, these are the benefits. And when we come by the grace of God next Sunday, I will give you the full message concerning this, which the Father said. I'll give you the full message. But these are just the things you are going to benefit. These are just the things you are going to enjoy from the Passover of the lost covenant. These are the benefits. And do you know it does not even end here? That's why the Lord has given us all opportunity also in the covenant form to fill it and to add our own benefits. That if there's any other thing beside all these ones that you want to benefit from it, then you add it yourself. Do you know that there were some silent benefits that the Bible didn't record for the children of Israel? For example, many of them for the first time they touched money. These were people that have been working since no salary. For the first time they went to their neighbors and collected all their wealth, collected all their gold and silver and all their money and everything, their garments. That's the first time they are touching money since they were born. The first time they are touching prosperity. Those are the benefits of the Passover. Those are the benefits. And you know that many of them, for the first time, they were free. Free like free. When they came out the following day, and nobody, the Egyptians are not standing at their back to flog them. They were free for the first time. And when they saw miracles, they experienced the miracle of God for the first time. When they crossed the Red Sea, they sang, they rejoiced. So that means this liberty. That's what Passover will do. That's what God wants to do for us. Freedom, complete freedom from all kinds of oppression and cruel bondage. Total freedom. And the Lord will accept our covenant. Because that's where the crux of the matter relies. God accepting our covenant. That's the most important thing. God accepting our covenant. The moment he accepts our covenant and seals the covenant with us, we are settled. And I pray that the Lord will accept our covenant. Let's close our eyes. And you begin to talk to the Lord and say, blood of Jesus, arise and prepare me now. Prepare my family. Prepare Diadem.
Thank you for watching. If this message blessed you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to join our growing community of faith. You've just listened to the sermon, but there are powerful prayers that follow. Due to social media rules and guidelines, the prayers have been removed from this video. However, you can access the full prayers and more life-changing resources by visiting www.pastorhillary.org or downloading our app, Diadem Media. If you're in the London area, we'd love to have you fellowship with us in person at 4 Pegamoid Road, N18 2NG. If you have any questions about this message, want counseling from Pastor Hillary, or wish to share your testimonies following the prayers, please leave a comment below and someone from our team will get in touch. Until next time, may God bless you abundantly and guide you in all your ways. Stay victorious.